Yeah. So, hello everybody. Today it's our 32nd book in the Read, Write, Inspire book club. I guess today we are having the most recent book probably which we have ever read. The book was out only in August 2023, in fact. It was published only in August 2023, and we've picked up, for the first time, we have picked up a book which is as recent as this, I guess. So let me share screen and we'll begin. So the first thing today, let's see a little bit about the author and the novel and the other novels which he's written. His special writing style when it comes to this particular book. The appreciation and the criticism for this book. In fact, I thought since it's a new book, not only let's not see just the appreciation and criticism which is by literary critics and others. Let's just look at what the common people think. So I picked up some reviews from Instagram and from Goodreads, and I thought I'll share a few of those too with you. And we're just touching upon a little bit of the themes which are explored here and the quotes from this book. So the author, Paul Lynch, is an Irish novelist. He was born in Limerick in the southwest of Ireland in May 1977. Currently, he lives in Dublin. He was the former deputy chief sub-editor and the chief film critic for the Sunday Tribune before he turned to writing fiction full-time. If I'm right, he's done this for about 6 to 10 years before he actually started writing fiction full-time. He's considered one of the most important Irish writers of his generation. He's written 4 novels before writing Prophet Song, and all of them are based in Ireland or they are about the Irish. And all of them have been described as very impressive in style and in the themes. Just a second. He's known for his poetic, lyrical style and the exploration of complex themes. Another special thing about this book, as we know, it's shortlisted for the Booker. Another interesting thing about it is that 4 books have from Ireland by 4 Irish novelists have actually been shortlisted this time, which is a very, very impressive thing considering that Ireland is such a small country, and I think there's only about hardly a dozen, I think 16 or something was the number which was given, 16 or 17 in one of the articles as the number of popular Irish writers. So out of this, 4 people being shortlisted for the Booker is pretty impressive. And Paul Lynch, in fact, speaks about this in some of his interviews. He says that this is only possible because Ireland supports his writers immensely. And Paul Lynch himself had got, when he worked on this book, Prophet Song, for 4 years. And the 4 years he's not held a job. But twice he got a good amount of money as a grant from the government. And he also got a 6 months residency in one of the popular universities in Ireland, all of which helped him to smoothly write this book without worrying about anything else. So I guess that's why Ireland has some of, has been able to pull this off. So some of the awards and recognition that he's gotten is that in 2018, I've just picked up 4 of the most important ones, but of course there are a lot more. So 2018, he won the Kerry Group Irish Novel of the Year Award. In 2018, he was shortlisted for the Walter Scott Prize. In 2016, he also, I'm not going to attempt pronouncing this, but this is a French award for the best foreign novel, and he won that. And in 2023, he's been now shortlisted for the Booker. So his debut novel, which was Red Sky in Morning, was immediately acclaimed as the Amazon.com Book of the Month. And it also became the Book of the Year in the Irish Times, the Toronto Star, the Irish Independent, and the Sunday Business Post. Grace, which was published in 2017, was the book which actually pushed him into the world stage. It got a massive international acclaim. The Washington Post called the book a moving work of lyrical and at times hallucinatory beauty that reads like a hybrid of John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath and Cormac McCarthy's The Road. And this book is the one which won the Kerry Group Irish Novel of the Year. And this was the one which was shortlisted for the Walter Scott Prize and the William Saroyan International Prize. In France, it was shortlisted for the Prix Jean Monnet for European literature, among other prizes. It was a book of the year in The Guardian, the Irish Independent, Kirkus, Esquire, staff pick at the Paris Review, and an editor's choice in the New York Times Book Review. Then comes Prophet Song. So Prophet Song is his fifth novel. It was published to ravishing praise in August 2023, and it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize. So John Boyne in the Sunday Independent, he called the book entirely original. Observer called the book a crucial book for our current times, brilliant, haunting. The TLS called it thunderously powerful. Guardian says it's an urgent, important read. And the literary review called the book a masterly novel. So it's been getting a lot of praise. And apart from this, like I read some reviews where people have read all these 16 books which had been longlisted for the Booker. And they say that out of them all, probably the most probable one looks like Prophet Song. So that's, I think, a really wonderful praise for the book. So as far as the genre is concerned, Prophet Song is the dystopian novel. The publisher called One World actually published Prophet Song. So One World is a small independent publisher. And what is special about them is that many of their books have gone on to win Bookers and also other awards. So one of the main reasons which is cited for this is that a mainstream publisher is more careful with what they publish, and they try to see whether this is actually suitable for all and would it be picked up by everyone. While One World has this, guts to actually publish things which are different and which are also written differently, like Prophet Song. So, in fact, I think all the books of Paul Lynch have been published by One World. The narrative here is being told in a very unconventional manner. There are no paragraph breaks at all. And some critics felt that the narrative being told without paragraph breaks actually adds to the urgency of the plot, which is very true. When we read it, we get that feeling of being rushed into the story. There are no quotation marks, which is another interesting thing. So all the dialogues, especially since most of which are written from the point of view of the protagonist, Eilish. So there's no quotation marks. It's just like as if she's just talking. So this is clearly intended to cause an uncomfortable and disquieting and a tense experience for the reader, because the story itself is disturbing, disquieting, and tense. So it's definitely not an easy read, but it's a very rewarding read. So about especially these stylistic choices which have been made by Paul Lynch, these are what is told about this. These are the reviews about the stylistic choices which I saw online. So Amy Walsh of The Guardian has a wonderful review about Paul Lynch, and she said that this style lent the book a very breathless, claustrophobic atmosphere. And Lynch's message is clear. She says Lynch's message is crystal clear. Lives the world over are experiencing upheaval, violence, persecution. Prophet Song is a literary manifesto for empathy for those in need, and a brilliant, haunting novel that should be placed into the hands of policymakers everywhere. The Financial Times' Lucy Popescu stated that the lack of paragraph breaks gave the novel a sense of urgency. She stated that the novel gave a new perspective and empathy to those suffering in the migrant crisis, stating, Lynch describes the unremitting horrors of war, but his fiction also directly challenges the negative rhetoric surrounding refugees by articulating and illuminating their trauma. The Booker Prize judges had this to say about the book. So Paul Lynch's harrowing and dystopian prophet song vividly renders a mother's determination to protect her family as Ireland's liberal democracy slides inexorably and terrifyingly into totalitarianism. Readers will find it timely and unforgettable. It's a remarkable accomplishment for a novelist to capture the social and political anxieties of our moment so compellingly. Now, before we see what Paul Lynch says about the book, another interesting thing about this review is, the word empathy. So Prophet Song is a literary manifesto for empathy. And Paul Lynch, in fact, says that one of the reasons he wrote the book is to create a sense of radical empathy. And we'll talk about more about it a little later. So Paul Lynch, when he speaks about his book, he says, I was trying to see into the modern chaos. So he's talking about why he wrote the book. So I was trying to see into the modern chaos, the unrest in Western democracies, the problem of Syria, the implosion of an entire nation, the scale of its refugee crisis, and the West's indifference. So Paul Lynch, in fact, he specifically says that he wanted to write the book in a way that, if it happens in the West, that's why he chose Ireland. Only when it happens in the West, people will, in fact, wake up to this is also a possibility. But there have been a lot of criticism about this book, saying that, do you even know what Ireland is? Do you even know how we are? This is something which could never, ever happen here. And Paul Lynch says that any country around the world is just a couple of governments away from something like this happening. So nothing is a surety. So main crux of the book is, how do you prove that a democratic act is not an act against the state? So the main crux, what you are doing as a part of the democratic rights which you've been got, how do you prove that it's not something that you are doing to threaten the state, threaten the political parties? So these are Paul Lynch's words. Auden once said, poetry makes nothing happen. Deep down, I think he is right. And I tend to dislike fiction that uses literature solely for political ends, even if, as a citizen, I agree with those values. I thought very carefully while writing Prophet Song about the requirements for a work of art. Grief, not grievance. Blindness and complexity at the expense of cant and certitude. I stuck hard by those rules, and yet my book, I believe, has moral value. It can be read as a warning. It can also be read as a simulation of events that are occurring somewhere in the world right now. I was aware while writing this book that I was addressing, in part, a modern problem. Why are we, in the West, so short on empathy for the refugees flooding towards our borders? Prophet Song is partly an attempt at radical empathy. To understand better, we must first experience the problem for ourselves. And so I sought to deepen the dystopian by bringing to it a high degree of realism. I wanted to deepen the reader's immersion to such a degree that by the end of the book, they would not just know, but feel this problem for themselves. Shamal Raoji, was this the same quote that you were talking about as Paul Lynch's words? Let's go on. So Paul Lynch continues to ask, how much agency does an individual have when caught within such an enormity of forces? So how much agency does an individual have when caught within such an enormity of forces? In that regard, I consider the book metaphysical rather than political. We are desensitized daily by seeing events like this on our media. And so, I wanted to make a claim for fiction, to show the reader what fiction can uniquely do. Let me, stop the share screen and we'll proceed after a small discussion. Shamal Raoji, was this the same quote that you had mentioned of Paul Lynch? You're on mute.
Okay, that's the same quote.
Yeah.
And what he brought was in one of his interviews, the author says, I was aware while writing this book that I was addressing, in part, a modern problem. Why are we in the West so short on empathy for the refugees flooding towards our borders? And you also referred to the Syrian crisis, a
Mhm.
small dead body of a small child comes ashore.
Mhm.
That one. Yeah. Prophet song is partly an attempt at radical empathy, which you just said. To understand better, we must first experience the problem for ourselves. And so I sought to deepen the dystopian by bringing it to it a high degree of realism. I wanted it to deepen the reader's immersion to such a degree that by the end of the book, they would not just know, but feel this problem for themselves. And it is a real quote, actually. If you have read the book seriously, you'll definitely feel it.
Correct, correct,
So much bad. And we, before real discussion, we discussed, said also spoken about it. The
correct,
book, after reading, serious reading, it shakes you to the core. That's what I felt. It was very disturbing book. He has
yeah,
written it, and it was author's intention to disturb the reader so that he can get the required quality of empathy and other things which he has
correct.
referred.
Another interesting thing is that when only after the book came out did this whole the recent crisis is going on between Palestine and in Israel and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bombing and
Israel
all
and
this stuff is
Palestine.
happening now.
And so many things that if you look at the photographs, you see, definitely you
Yeah,
will feel disturbed.
correct.
And
And it's
and
so
he's very close actually. And as we said, actually dystopian. I always felt something to happen somewhere in the future at a time after that. But it is not like this. It is just in the doorstep. What he has elaborated. If you
correct.
look at it, those things. And I felt emotionally exhausted. And this is a very shocking and powerful book. I felt numb as a matter of fact. There are few paragraphs I had to read. Very what you call it's total involvement so that you can feel the depth of what the author wanted to say. I have quoted two paragraphs I kept for that purpose, which you know me.
Okay.
One is on reality when Simon, her father, speaks.
I think I have put that in the quotes also.
Okay, okay, that is one thing. We feel that he's a dementia patient, but when he has spoken, sometimes he suffers from the disease. But when he's not suffering, he's a very brilliant fellow. That's why. And the other one was like another paragraph actually, it heart wrenching. When Eilish searches for the body of Bailey,
Yeah, that is very
this,
disturbing.
this is not my son, this is not my son, this is not my son. Really, see, there is no paragraph, no comma, nothing. Pure, what you call raw emotion. The writer communicates to you. He deserves these two things. I felt really good.
Mm,
Ah. If you look at 1984, it is sometime okay, it will happen. Bradbury's Fahrenheit 4 book burning, sometimes it is okay. But this book is entirely different. You can't call it just a dystopian. It is something else. It almost what you call, duplicates what is happening all around. And you are brought into it
correct.
and you are made to feel and think and empathize with it. That's what, as you just said, radically empathize with it. It's a
Mm,
beautiful phrase, actually. And for that matter, it's a depressing book. If you look at it, actually, the book begins with darkness and ends with darkness. And
mm,
even the poem, what he quotes, actually, I'll read it out. I liked it. In the dark times, will there also be singing? It is in the very opening paragraph. In the dark times, will there also be singing? Yes, there will also be singing about the dark times. Just first page, madam, actually. Very
correct.
first. There are two poems he has given.
Yeah.
First one, but second one, that Bertolt Brecht he has written. In the dark times, will there also be singing? Yes, they will also be singing about the dark times. That means that's
Mhm.
one quote. And even the opening sentence, when if you look at the first paragraph,
Yeah, the night has
the
come.
night has come and she has not heard the knocking. Very ominous beginning, that sentence.
Mhm.
How the dark gathers without sound, the poetry, the cherry trees. It gathers the last of the leaves, and the leaves do not resist the dark, but act in the dark and whisper. How beautiful that is. Poetry almost in it. And when you go to the last paragraph, last page also, she looks towards the sky, seeing only darkness. That means the poem is about darkness, the beginning line is about darkness, ending line is about darkness. So if such be the book, actually, how can you feel better? How can you not feel bad about those
Mm.
things? You have to, it should emotionally should adjust. That is the thing. That's what I felt.
True. Very,
And
very true.
somewhere you very true. Somewhere you have referred to John Steinbeck's book. Actually, I don't know whether you read The Grapes of Wrath.
No, I have not read it. We
It
read the
is
other
good.
one.
We read the East of Eden. We read actually at
Yeah.
the time also. I said this is the first book I read. Grapes of Wrath, to John Steinbeck. It's a beautiful book actually.
Oh, it's very
Wonderful.
good, isn't
And there is a movie is also there on Jane Fonda. Someone has acted in it.
it? Oh.
It's a Jane Fonda. There's movies also there. It's a very good book actually. But how they have drew a parallel with Paul Lynch book and John Steinbeck's.
Yeah. Actually, two, three reviews of other different literary critics I read, where
Uh,
some of the authors they compare him with one of the main person is John Steinbeck's books.
exactly.
Then the McCarthy is another person whom they keep
The
repeating.
road you has written. The road.
Hmm.
That is the book he has written. Acha, acha. No, McCarthy books I have not read any other
I
books.
have not read anywhere. Grapes of
No, no,
Wrath
no.
also I have not read it.
It is also a
But
painful book.
what was one story which kind of felt a little similar to me? I not for anything else, for the stylistic choice alone, was Jampa Lahiri's The Lowland.
Lowland, jump on it.
So that also there is no quotation marks and the dialogue is written in a very different way.
Different way. They have experimented with the expression. That's what I felt.
Mm,
And
true.
that's correct.
Yeah. Okay, let me share screen. We'll talk about the
But
theme.
the structure, what is your justification? Why he has written that way? What did you feel?
In the
No
without
punctuation,
paragraphs.
without paragraphs, without quotations, without any cosmetics for that purpose, which you put on words and languages, capitals, italics, underlines. He has given a go at all those things.
Yeah.
What made, how did you feel about it? And why he has
There is a sense of urgency which happens in the
very
story, right? But you know
uh,
what, Shamal Ravji, despite all that urgency, it's not a fast moving book. I actually took a long time
no,
reading it.
because the
And he
language, the
talks about
present,
that, in fact. He talks about it in one of the interviews which I read, where he says, that he wants to write in a way that it slows the reader down.
and get him more involved in it, means that
Maybe, So he says that it should slow the reader down. So that also found like you want to slow the reader down, but you're actually making the language flow faster.
exactly the language rushes through.
Mm,
That's what I felt. The language rushes through, and it is very urgent if you read it actually.
correct.
Does it happen when emotions dominate? Well, who bothers about grammar and punctuation?
Mm.
For instance, let
Maybe
us
all
put
the,
your
he
own
wanted all the, extras to probably just fall away.
exactly. That means he
Probably.
wants to take to the core what you
Correct.
call
In fact, the beginning sentence which you just read out, it took me
yes,
a
ma'am.
long time to understand what it is because the commas are not there. How the
No, there
dark
are no.
gathers without sound the cherry trees.
Ah, ah.
So I was like, how the dark gathers without sound the cherry trees. I couldn't understand anything. I thought, what is this? Is there some grammatical
It is
error
not
in this?
error in it. Exactly.
Without the commas, it is difficult to actually understand what he's trying to say.
Yes,
But it's a
it's like
very,
that.
yeah, very
And
satisfying read.
exactly. And what I felt was, as I just said, when emotions dominate,
Mm,
well, who gives importance to grammar and punctuation?
Correct.
Let us take the case of your own excited child who won a prize in a school. He comes and reports to you. He will not bother about this one given and all those things, technicalities. But
Mhm.
he is to pass on the information to you overtakes the technicalities of the language he employs.
Correct.
That's what I feel. For instance, when emotions are there, you will not further. You can very well understand whatever I put you can easily understand what I wanted to say.
Mhm.
So the language, more than technicalities, emotions overtake. That's what I felt. And he is in
Very
a
true.
hurry to give it to immediately.
Mhm.
Urgency, as you just said. That is what I felt. This book.
Uh,
And I have not read
But
any other book of this.
in
Ah,
lowland, because there were no quotation marks, um, it felt like a it felt very different. It was not like this. There was not that,
sure.
it was not the urgency feeling waves, not what was there. It felt
Uh,
like it was something very deep and
uh,
something very deeply thoughtful that didn't require quotation marks or something like that. It felt like there was some more layers to that dialogue than
uh,
what was expressed only in those quotation, what
quotation.
they say.
That
So
means it is a book of depth, what you call.
yeah, it's a very different kind of a kind. I
Let me,
didn't really enjoy it so much. I wouldn't say it's very highly. I would recommend it, but stylistically and the way she had written it, yes, it was a very different read. There's only three characters in the entire book, and it's a very different kind of a flow.
she also experiments.
Yeah,
Champa Lahiri
a
also.
lot, a lot.
Experts, you are very correct. The beauty is from America, she got settled in Rome and she has written a book in Italian
Hmm.
that she translated to English for American readers.
She's settled in Italy only, right, Shamal?
Ah, exactly. From here, she was some lecture somewhere. She went and got settled in
Yeah.
Italy, Rome.
So that's a
And she
very
went
interesting
only
story.
purpose
Have
of
you read
land.
about that?
Ex-
Why she shifted? Did you read about that?
she wanted to write books in this Italian
In an
language.
Italian. So she learned
So
Italy
yes, from
for about
alphabets
seven
she learned.
years in
7
US.
years, that's
Yeah.
what I say. She learns she
And
language.
she felt
It's
it's
nice.
not enough. She felt she's not
No,
good. So she shifted.
not good. She shifted. This is how much of experimenting they do with their life. How
Yeah.
much achievement they hanker up. That is it. And she has written a book, another books on book binding or something. She has written a book, Jampale. Different covers of different books. She has
Covers of
written a book.
different books, correct.
Then I found one writing in Italian language, leaving English. Another on write books of binding and other. I found she is a different writer. She relocated herself from America to Italy just to learn a language and write. Think of her commitment. Why the best will not come? See, it's a lot of sacrifice.
Very much. She has a husband, children, everyone was
Yes,
approached,
yes.
taken
Ah,
there.
yes. So she is also alone. That's all right. They
Yeah.
are like that.
She's one of my most favorite writers. I love
No,
all
I also
I
love.
read everything,
And
whatever she's
she
written.
also speaks. I also heard her speech. She speaks very well.
Oh,
Slowly she speaks. Some of the interviews, sometimes
correct. I'll share the screen. Yeah. So the one of the main themes which keeps repeating in this whole story is how the characters cling on to hope and they feel that the things are going to get better. So even Larry, when he tells Eilish, you need to relax. The GNSB are not the Stasi. They are just applying a little pressure. That is all. Larry tells Eilish at an early point in the story. Where does the irony lie in this statement with references to the Stasi, the secret police force of East Germany? And to what extent do you think the characters cling to the belief that a country as civilized as theirs could never descend into such a terrifying situation? So this is the reason actually why I wanted to share those two things with you, Shamal Rao, which I had put in the chat also. So one was the book
that
on tyranny by
yes,
Timothy
Snyder.
Snyder. And the second one was the Netflix web series, which
How to
is
be a tyrant.
How to be a
Yes,
Tyrant,
yes. I
the
got it. I
playbook
got
of
the note.
tyrants.
I got the book.
So yeah, it's so interesting to see how actually in various different situations, whether it was the Nazis or whether it was Polypot in here or any other person everywhere around the world, all the various tyrants actually had the very same kind of playbook. So it's like as if they have it's just like thinking like they have a Bible. So they just need to follow that.
Follow it.
Chapter 1,
Follow.
do this. Chapter 2, do this. And you can be a tyrant. So Stasi also is the same thing. So when Stasis initially were there, so I just wanted to share a little bit about them. So Stasis also started in the same way. So they were the State Security Service of East Germany from 1950 to 1990. Their function in East Germany resembled that of the KGB in Soviet Union. Again, another same kind of a person. So they were a means of maintaining the state authority. Stasi had files on 5.5 million people. And they had accomplished this primarily only through the use of the network of civilian informants. So this organization contributed to the arrest of approximately 250,000 people in East Germany. The author shows us how the playbook of the tyrants remains the same and history keeps repeating itself. Oh, I thought that was a very interesting way.
Madam, the author shows, that means you are referring to Paul Lynch here?
Yeah, Paul Lynch. I feel Paul Lynch wanted to show that. That is why he mentions Stasi in the book. When Larry says you need to relax the GNSB are not the Stasi.
I didn't dig this word Stasi.
Yeah. So when he says that, it's like as if he says, no, it's not going to be as bad as that. That's all. They're just applying a little pressure. Everything is fine. But Larry gets arrested soon after this. So similarly, so Stasi also did the same thing. When they initially started, everyone thought it's okay, it's nothing. But then it wasn't nothing. So I think here also it's the same thing which happens in this story also. So it's just that it's like, that's what I wanted to say. The history keeps repeating itself, which is what I think the author wanted to tell us.
The rules are same.
Yeah. So Sarath has shared something on Stasi. The file by Timothy Garton Ash is very relevant. Is this a book?
Yes, the file by Timothy Garton.
Yes, it is a book. It is a book written by this Timothy Garton Ash is a prominent political writer. During his youth, he was in East Germany. And those days, whoever is of any relevance, Stasi used to maintain a file. And once the wall broke down and communism disappeared in East Germany, the files were then made accessible to the citizens. So the youngsters at those times, they used to take a pride in saying that, oh, there is a file to my name and all. And this guy went and he consulted, he took out his file. And he cannot remember certain episodes of his life itself. The spies have written that he has gone to some this restaurant and with him there was a female friend and all that. He cannot remember, where it was and who was the person with him and all that, since it was so long back. But the files were so meticulous.
So this is a non-fiction, sir?
It is a non-fiction, sir.
Okay.
Non-fiction about his own life, but it is written very well.
Very well. I kept a note of it.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Very good input. As a matter of fact, Stasi, somehow I lost note of it while reading. I was focusing more on the other things, I guess.
So the word say, like I hadn't read a lot about the Stasi thing. So when I saw this, I've just searched a bit about it and I saw, okay.
A good thing.
Yeah.
That's required.
Okay. I just thought there were like certain questions. I thought let us just like openly maybe discuss about it. Whatever is your opinion also, you could please feel free to just unmute yourself and share. I thought this is one of a very, very powerful statement in the book. So history is a silent record of people who did not know when to leave. So Ayn Eilish's sister tells her this while trying to get her to journey to Canada with the children. What historical events might she be referring to, and why does she deem it a silent record? So there are so many different historical events probably which might probably fit this thing I said, but including the latest one with the Gaza thing also, giving them 24 hours time to leave, but they had no place to leave. Neither was it sufficient time, nor did they actually have any place to leave. So I thought it was a very, very interesting quote. In fact, I don't know, Shamal Ravji, whether you had felt this, but when she refuses to go, when she refuses to leave the country, when her sister has arranged everything for her to leave, but she refuses to leave, I felt so angry at her. I was
But
so angry
look
at
at,
Irish.
look
And I
at the
thought,
other side.
yeah,
Look
I
at
thought,
the
how
other
can
side.
she even do this? Then, in fact, for a few days, I didn't feel like reading the book after that. I thought this is the most stupid decision that can be taken. It
Very
looks like
correct.
she just wants to stay and die,
But
or maybe the
at
author
the,
just wanted her to die. Which mother will be okay about this? This was my first idea.
fine. But let us go dig little deeper than the surface, madam.
Correct.
You see, at what condition she was told? For
Yeah.
instance, her husband not there,
Correct.
he has been taken. She believes actually he is still alive, number one. And Mark, her eldest son, is also still alive.
Correct.
That means the role she is drawn between is as a husband, as a wife and as a mother. She is drawn between these two. How can she ignore her husband? How can she ignore one of her? There is another quote in the book: "A child, when comes from the body of her mother, is a body itself." How can she ignore her own body? How can she be so selfish that she will be doing justice to a part of her body? It is like doing justice to right hand when cutting the left hand. So that is in that predicament. What she did was right for
Yeah.
me. There is no alternative for her. For instance, had she left and had she gone to Canada, she would have suffered with a sense of guilt all throughout her life and waiting. Maybe my husband will come. Maybe once I leave all this, she comes somewhere, she says, let us go and leave. If husband comes, Larry, what she will say? Or the Mark
That
comes, what she will say?
Mark's thing, that Mark, when she speaks about Mark, then I felt, yeah, she is right in a way. She says,
She is
right,
right.
what if Mark just walks through the door? Anytime he
Exactly.
might walk through the
And
door.
there is a possibility. You can't 50-50 because she
Correct.
is not aware what happened to her husband. She is not knowing what happened to Mark. And
Correct.
Mark also, she puts it in her friend's house. From there she goes.
Correct.
On the last day when she sees her, when she leaves her son Mark in a friend's house. After that, she doesn't have any touch.
Correct.
That means it is a loose-ended. So naturally, we live on hope. Hope is our only hope. So she
Correct.
persisted in came, and okay, it's all right. At least by staying back, she could secure her Molly daughter, and then that last violin, youngest fellow, Ben.
Correct.
Ultimately, two children are left. Mother she leaves and goes away now. That's why. At least it is settled fact she has suffered. So she is torn between these two roles, wife and of a mother. And naturally, in that case, maternal love dominated. That is also a key. And to what extent she has gone to protect her family. Particularly, we will feel crying when Bailey gets hit. Actually, she moves around that hospital. And when she goes and finds out what he was taken to operation theater, but when she goes to check out the position, he no longer there. Military people take him away. How much suffering she undergoes.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, it is.
So it felt to me like, oh, this could have been avoided kind of a feeling. But I understand why she didn't leave. Afterwards, even in fact, Sarath was telling me about Helen Dunmore's We Read the Siege. The second book was The Betrayal, right? So he had read The Betrayal. So he's telling me over there also it's somewhat the similar thing. So she has a child, but then her husband is not there. So she has to wait for him. That's why she doesn't leave. So he was talking to me about that. And I think, then I could kind of understand why she did it. But initially I was very, how can she do this?
It's a golden opportunity should have gone. And even if she tried to go away, how can you confirm she has no passport?
Yeah,
That the journey will be smooth?
correct.
Of course. And finally, what happened to her father?
Her father left, which felt like such a betrayal to me.
Exactly correct. And the betrayal is not from father, please. It is from her sister. She did it, Annie.
Yeah.
Because father is a man, he is not in normal senses.
Mm.
He is a patient of dementia. Actually. Somehow she arranged papers and she took him away. She was
But
also shocked.
she's taking him away. Can't he inform his daughter? I don't know. I didn't understand that at all. It felt like such a betrayal. He didn't inform his daughter. And why the sister also didn't inform her? I don't
That
know.
you can hold the sister guilty, but not her father. Father is a patient. He doesn't know what he is speaking into. He still recalls his wife, his mother is still with. He is not
Yeah.
proper condition. There is a health excuse for him. But
Mm.
sister Annie is the villain of the piece for me. She should have intimated because she was suffering. Where is my father? She goes, runs around the city,
But
and
she does try to keep contacting her, right? She doesn't pick up Amy's calls.
and there is a reason for that because she never looked after her parent, mother. She left away the selfish interest and other things. There is a difference between these two sisters.
Again, that is something very, very we don't know, right? It doesn't seem like she left Ireland only after these issues started. Maybe she left
We
initially
don't.
itself. She went to
Yeah,
study, maybe she got a
beforehand,
job.
she wanted to. Yes, she wanted a better life, and she left.
Yeah,
That happens in normal course also.
correct. So can that be called as a betrayal to the people whom she left behind? I don't know
No,
that.
it is a betrayal to the extent when she took away her father. Intimation was not given to Eilish. That I will consider. She has put
Hmm,
unnecessary tension to this.
correct.
That is what I feel. She should have shared it. Because when she was offering to take Eilish and her children to
Hmm.
Canada, when she takes away her father, what is wrong? Why she has not intimated? She should have intimated.
So but there was one, I didn't know, I didn't feel so angry about Amy. I don't know why. So one of the reasons I
Because
didn't feel so
uh,
angry is because she
she
says, I want to take you and the children, and also
she
I want
offers.
to take the
She
father.
offers. That
She
is that
offers.
is correct. She
And
offers.
that time Eilish doesn't ask the father. She just refuses. She says, no, father needs his memories. He needs to live with his memories. Not, he cannot go to a
Uh,
new place. That's what
yes,
is
yes, there is a
important for him.
sentence. She says. She says.
Yeah,
But this Anne has a very small role in the book, whole of the book.
correct.
That is a maybe, though it is a little different, we didn't feel much about her.
Hmm.
This way or that way. She speaks, ask her to
Maybe
take
because we are seeing Ain through Eilish's eyes, probably we do have a little bit of
yes,
negative
exactly
thing
correct.
about her.
Whole book actually we shoot with the eyes of
Yeah,
Irish. Whole book,
correct, correct.
whether about Larry or about her father or about her sons or daughter, anything you look at situation, this
Hmm,
everything.
correct.
So we look through her eyes. So
Yeah,
she is the
maybe.
main protagonist. And she does different roles actually. She is a
Yeah,
mother, she is a daughter. You see,
correct.
she was so many things actually.
Yeah.
And she is molecular biology, she is a PhD, doctorate.
Ah, doctorate. Correct.
Not an ordinary scientist actually. She holds
Hmm.
a very good position in society. This man is
Hmm.
also not one whole of the state. She is some the trade what teachers union, some secretary like that. That's all.
Hmm. Correct.
It is not in that important position. Why government will soup on her, soup on him? That is the
Correct.
point. They are well placed in society, not like a small people.
Hmm.
Uh, and when actually the stigma comes, he doesn't go to army. See, on car they write something, traitor. That's the word
Yeah,
they use.
yeah, right. Hmm.
How much it is hurting. She sells away the car for that.
Hmm.
No, no, it is a painful book, all said and done.
Correct, correct. Very true.
Okay.
So, I had, as I mentioned, I had taken up a little bit of the readers' appreciation and criticism. So these are some of the reviews which I read, which are written by readers. Uh, so bringing it into a place which I know so well, and with characters and names so familiar, they could be my own family. So this is someone from Ireland who's writing us. So made this a poignant and chilling reminder of the fate of so many refugees who have no option but to flee their homelands. I was chilled to the bone by much that happened in this book. Clever, poetic, and needed to be told. Brilliant. Prepare to have your emotions wrapped around Paul Lynch's finger, and the strings will be pulled tighter and tighter with every page. The thing I found most impressive about this novel is its atmosphere. The tension keeps growing gradually, and the feeling of menace is more and more suffocating. I find it relevant to today's world, as well as a reflection of what has happened many times in the past. I think that's very true as per what you said, Shamal Raoji. More like it's not a future dystopian. It seems like something which has happened so many times in the past, and it's happening today too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very correct.
So it's number 1 in my Booker Prize long list rankings after reading all the long list books twice.
Wow. Twice she has completed.
Twice, yeah.
Very good.
But as a reader, you should always be aware that the type of atrocities that occur in the book are already happening elsewhere in the world. So as much as this content may seem unimaginable, the end of the world is always ending over and over again in one place, but not another. And that the end of the world is always a local event. Written in claustrophobic prose that manages to place you in a no way out situation. It all feels so oppressive as it should. What a read.
Correct.
I was incredibly moved by the story. It feels timely, and yet the story itself, the writing and characters feel timeless. It's dystopian fiction with a literary bend.
Good.
So I also thought there's some lot of criticism also was there for the book. So let's see some of them. So nothing rang true. Think Lynch forgot the whole ethos of Irish identity. A waste of time, long passages just filling up space.
I don't know. I can't understand. Okay.
So this is written by someone who's from Ireland. So just like the previous writer from Ireland felt so much connected to the story, this person felt very angry that it's based in Ireland actually. And he says this is some rubbish which can never happen in Ireland. So
no, he must look around. It's a very pedestrian observation. He must look around in the world. There things are happening. And one who knows, he will definitely feel about the book.
Correct. So another thing was, so this review by Matthew Schiarappa he's a popular Instagram reviewer. So from its gerund heavy, aimlessly sprawling sentences to its vaguely rendered dystopian setting, everything about Prophet's song frustrated me. This is not my first encounter with punctuation-less dialogue or run-on grammar, but compounded with its disorienting sense of space and overly personified descriptions, I am just exhausted. This book reads like how I imagine watching a film with every fifth frame removed would feel, unwieldy. So the review continues. I'm left wondering about the conceit of this novel. It's a book so caught up in the interiority of its protagonist, a scientist and a mother of 4 named Eilish, that it loses grasp on its politically charged subject matter, deflating the genre-defining thrill of world building and offering a few made-up acronyms and some recent real-world benchmarks. We're privy to 300-some pages of one woman's struggle to keep her family together, which, while emotionally expansive and generally thoughtful, could take place anywhere and at any time. Her tenacity is a saving grace of the text, offering at least some psychological commentary on why, in the face of danger, people cling to their homes. Larger gestures towards topics of fascism, trafficking, control of the media, trade unions, and refugees all fall short. Perhaps I would have been more generous to this book and more receptive to its call for empathy, were I not so burnt out on its stylistic choices.
So his complaint is about the style that the author employs.
But very interestingly, the comments to this review, there were 2 types of comments. So some said, yes, this is what I felt about the book too. And there is another half of the comments which say, all that you didn't like about the book were the things that I actually liked about the book.
A sweeping counter.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. So there was someone who says that I loved it, that it didn't go into world building and all these things. Instead, it struck true to one person's point of view and what she goes through.
Exactly.
Yeah,
too
that
personal.
one person's eye is enough to know what is happening in the entire world.
Yes. Too personal at macro level. That,
Correct.
I'm sorry, at micro level. That is
Micro level,
important.
correct.
Actually. We can't run after that, what you call fascism, those theory, politics, and all those things.
Correct. Correct.
If that be the case, the story will lose its appeal.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that was a very, this was very interesting review to read. But yeah,
I will go by this Karyappa when he says about this stylistic what one choice. That I will accept because one can be put off by the way he has written. Unless and until we go, that is possible. Because if I'm accustomed to conventional way of reading a book, conventional grammar, quotation, vagera, definitely I will feel it little disturbed. But it is a separate purpose. It can be a pullback as far as stylistic choice is concerned. It is possible. As you said, Jumpalari also has written, let me see, Lowland.
I in fact love these kind of different stylistic choices, and I love those
Exactly,
kind of
madam.
books.
Exactly, madam. One has to experiment things. Otherwise,
Yeah.
what? Same thing every time. No,
Correct.
something is a new genre. Who
Same
knows?
is true with with Salman Rushdie also. Salman
Exactly.
Rushdie creates words,
Ah,
and so lovely to read that. So, like the words would be so similar to what we would talk in India in our local colloquial thing, which he would put it into English.
Exactly. By this, you
Yeah.
can very well appreciate, understand is a
Yeah.
creative prowess, actually. Creative prowess.
Yeah.
And he is coming with another book now, The Knife. You might have come across it.
I
Salman
think it's
Rushdie.
already come out, right?
No, it is not yet released. No, he has announced it.
Oh,
It
what was the
is
name of the book?
The
The
Knife.
knife. Correct.
He has given the cover also, like the paper is
Yeah,
torn. That
yeah,
book
with
is
the knife. Correct. I saw
yes,
the cover was amazing actually.
very amazing actually.
The
Unless
book
you closely observe it.
before the knife, have you read that one? I forgot the name of it. The book before the knife, which he had written.
No, I didn't read any of his books for that matter.
Oh, okay. You should read Midnight's Children.
Midnight. Last time that was there actually.
Yeah.
It was taken up for a discussion.
One of my favorite reads. Yeah.
When you told me that we will take it up for discussion, well, it is on the TBR.
Yeah. We'll put it up next.
That is required. We have not read any of his books.
We should. But I don't know. Some of them are very meandering, but whatever I read Midnight's Children. I read Shame, and I read one more. I think I've forgotten which one. Shame was very good. Midnight's Children was also good. But what I heard was the recent one, the Before the Knife, which one was released. That was very good, is what I heard from many people, and that was something which I've not read still. So I've been thinking I should.
Yes. Now let us put one of his books in our discussion.
Sure.
I shall
Maybe
prefer.
we'll choose it for December.
If you remember, when we discussed Gabriel Marquez, we spoke of magic realism, and Salman Rushdie came to came up for discussion at that moment of time.
Yeah.
At that time only you suggested we'll go in for this book, some Rushdie's book. I have not been able to be. We have to put one in our group discussion.
Correct. December we'll keep his books. Maybe one or two of his books.
Let us end this year with one of his books. We don't know, next year he may get Nobel Prize.
Yeah, definitely.
That is possible.
And Midnight's Children was the Booker of Bookers, no?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And this time, surprisingly, what waiting for Mahatma was suggested. I didn't expect that book.
Oh, is it? Have you read it before?
I have not read it.
Oh.
R.K. Narayan's book. R.K. the English teacher who I read.
Okay.
Then I thought, yes, Indian authors who have not read. This is another book we have to take up for reading. We read Rajarao book, if you remember.
Yes.
On Mahatma Gandhi.
Correct. That was good.
Definitely, it was really good.
Yeah.
Really simple, the untouchable. So we will put Rushdie and also, okay, it's all right if it goes on.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, few more criticism which I had noticed was this one. So from an Irish perspective, I found this book incredibly compelling, but some of the depictions of what the totalitarian state consisted of rubbed me the wrong way. Throughout the pandemic, a lot of conspiracy groups in this country made constant comparisons to fascism through the disruption to daily life, for example, schools closing, and Gadai being implemented at checkpoints to ask why you're traveling. So I think Gadai in Ireland probably
Yeah.
means police, I think. And
Police.
correct,
Same
correct.
that
So police used
secret
to
service.
stand at checkpoints and ask why you're traveling and all those
Yeah.
stuff. And so there was a lot of thought at that time during the pandemic. Oh, we are, getting into
Subjected to all this.
fascism and all those things. Common public used to have this. Some of the conspiracy groups used to feel that.
Feel that way.
But the book, this one was written. I had started writing even before the pandemic. So
4 years
frankly,
it took.
yeah. So he didn't frankly have any such thought when he wrote the book. But some of them had this feeling, oh, is he trying to be a part of the conspiracy group? Is that why he's doing this? But
Exactly.
it's not really true. So it did come as a relief to find out that Lynch started working on the novel in 2019 and thus isn't trying to make the same tasteless comparisons that those particular groups did. But unfortunately, there were a few instances in the novel where I was put off due to the similarities.
Similarities. It is
What
very
made me-
subjective.
Yeah, it's very subjective, but he says it wasn't true considering that he started writing in 2019.
One thing is it is very subjective. Second thing is it refers to COVID.
COVID, correct.
So, but it is more than these two things. What I feel this novel. I feel. Anyway.
No, she feels, is that why did he take Ireland as the place where this happens, kind of a thing? But it's not true. He's written, all his books are about Ireland or the Irish. So,
Yes.
he's written
As
about
a writer, he is privileged
Yeah.
to write. See, if I am in India, I will write about India. That is
Ireland.
okay.
Exactly.
Being in Ireland, we cannot expect him to write about what I call Ukraine.
Exactly.
No, because I am very familiar with the condition here, right?
Correct.
And he has
Yeah.
that is it. He has stretched it for a global
Global
relevance.
thing. And
That is
I
also-
think
that is-
it's good that he's taken a country, if that's true, and Ireland is nowhere headed anywhere near to this, then it's good that he's taken that as an example. So taking a country which is
Exactly.
nearing that is going to be a disaster.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what made me give up was the main character's surprised reaction when she discovered the phone was taped. She could not believe a government could do that. Right. Maybe the novel does not only present an alternative present, but also an alternative past where Snowden never existed. So this was something even jarring to me also. She was very surprised. Oh, will the government tap the phone? Why will they not? Aren't they doing it always forever? Now it's not something to be very surprised about, I guess. So I don't know. Maybe because it's something you hear about, but you don't really feel that it could happen to you. Maybe that's why she reacted that way, maybe.
The point is, madam, different people in different countries live in different circumstances.
Yeah.
For instance, if you look at the current position, we have found actually the Apple phones are put under observation of political leaders. We don't know who are in opposition. Apple has given a what I call a warning type of
Yeah,
opinion.
Apple has given a warning. Correct. I saw.
So phone tapping is it happens. For instance, I belong to this Department of Telecom. There were requests from police authorities to put the particular telephone in observation and to provide them with call details for a certain specific period. If that is not the case, they will ask you for 3-4 months back for that particular day, give me the call details. This happens.
Correct.
To say that it doesn't happen in Ireland, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because this is a normal requirement. If they have to check the wrong things in society, the activities of those people who get involved in society, they require this information. Genuinely, it is a very genuine, reasonable necessity. And we are supplying. Once in a while, we have to take the list and say, yes, is this a list correct? Yes, sir, as available in the system. They come and sit with before you and take from you. I have given a number of times. Or a request comes actually for this period, so keep it under observation. So we wait for a fortnight or a 10-day period. Once the period is over, take a special printout and then give over to them. We don't know what they do and how they do. We are not just concerned about it. But for
Correct.
tapping a phone, observational analysis have called it a routine thing.
Yeah.
I am
But,
not surprised.
correct. It's nothing to be surprised about. So, which was something which they felt, why is she surprised?
Ah,
Why is
ah,
this there? You know,
ah.
the
Maybe
blurb, yeah. The blurb asks how far a mother will go to save a family. Not very far, it seems. She sticks around hoping for things to turn and makes it to the corner store for milk and cigarettes. It also asks what or who she is willing to leave behind. No one until they are super dead. This woman doesn't get moving until the end of the book.
very harsh criticism.
Very harsh, very harsh. Yeah.
Yeah. What more she can do? See, what
Mm,
more she can do in such a situation? Everything is closed. And that cycle also she borrows to go to her father.
mm.
That cycle also it gets punctured or something. No, no, what more she can do? She is alone. And she lives on a money sent by her sister.
But when they are bombing and all these things, doesn't she feel that there are another 3 children in my hand? Don't I need to save them? Wouldn't you move for that? I don't know.
But how can she say? For as a mark, actually, she has been taken. Now. And this fellow, she keeps him somewhere in someone's house. But again, that lady actually hands him over to military.
Yeah.
When
But
state
if you
power
see,
takes
Mark
over,
is gone. Mark is gone. Already he's left. Okay,
first
we had
the
the hope.
eldest
We
son,
can
he is with her.
cross our fingers, everything. But the person at
Let,
hand is there. There are another 3. Isn't it wrong
let,
on her part?
let us put to Bailey what she would have done. She tried to protect him. Let us take care of her own daughter. She
Mm.
tried to protect, but even then she comes to the evil eyes of a military officer. She cuts her hair. How painful it is.
Yeah, but
Remember
she's
at the
very strong
last
in
few
that.
pages,
Yeah,
how much, how much hardened she has to make her heart actually
correct.
to get her to disfigure her own daughter.
Mm.
And Ben is very young. He is the only character actually who plays all around. He never bothers because he's too. He doesn't understand. There is a beautiful quote that
Correct,
actually his poison will grow into him and it will come at a later stage.
correct. True,
And
very
that I'm not able to correct. That is there. That poison is the word which will come out at a later date. Such a small kid. What she could have done? Let us empathize. Let us put her shoes on our feet and see.
That's what.
No money, no husband, no
Yeah.
male support. And
And this moving from here itself could become dangerous also. So she could have thought of all that. I don't know. Yeah.
possible.
Initially, that's what. But
After
there is, there are people who would have thought, like, just like what I thought. Oh my God, this is such a bad decision. How can she
that,
be behind? But
okay.
it
Let us
makes
put
sense.
exactly. Let us take the case of Bailey. He goes and comes, but he is attacked with some sharpnel gets into his head. He
Mm,
gets injured. How much actually she puts her effort to get him admitted into a hospital, get him
correct.
treated, go into operation theater. And
Mm,
then when she goes in the following day, actually the boy, he is not there. He has been taken out to military hospital. One of the watchmen says when he goes to hospital, check up your mortuary. How painful it is.
mm,
What she could have done, I'm not sure. To blame her that he has not done, there was nothing she could do except suffering and make us also empathize her with her suffering.
correct. Mm,
That's what I felt. I can't hold the
yeah.
blame on. If you have to hold the blame, you have to hold the blame on the system, which is
Mm,
then is authoritarian. They have their own, and that happens. Nobody bothers about individual feelings. They
mm.
only they only give individual suffering.
That's what.
What?
But this also what she says here. No, I also feel some bad decisions were taken by the characters only to keep the wheels in motion and get to the point the author wanted to go. So initially, this was also one thought which I had. Did he not send her off only because he wanted the story to move? If she goes away from the
Possible.
place, there is nothing
Possible.
there.
No,
But
no,
it's not so.
the story ends. There is nothing to
Yeah,
say about.
correct.
There is
But
nothing. The story
there
ends.
is, everything makes sense actually. All his choices are, it's not a forced thing which the author has done. Definitely, I realize that now. Hmm,
Mm.
correct. These are some quotes from the book. Sooner or later, pain becomes too great for fear. And when the people's fear has gone, the regime will have to go. A sudden swooping look from her father. Tell me, he says, do you believe in
Yes.
reality? This is the
This I
quote,
liked
right?
very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dad, what is that supposed to mean? It's a simple question. You took the degree. You understand what it means. When you put it like that, yes, I know what you mean, but spare me the lecture. He looks away momentarily towards the sideboard stacked high with yellowing newspapers, dog-eared current affairs magazines, the old smile pulling to reveal his teeth.
Yes.
We are both scientists, Eilish.
Yes,
We belong
this
to
is
a
the quote.
tradition. But tradition is nothing more than what everyone can agree on. The scientists, the teachers, the institutions. If you change ownership of the institutions, then you can change ownership of the facts. You can alter the structure of belief. What is agreed upon, that is what they are doing. Eilish, it's really quite simple. The NAP is trying to change what you and I call reality. They want to muddy it like water. If you say one thing is another thing and you say it enough times, then it must be so. And if you keep saying it over and over, people accept it as true. This is an old idea, of course. It really is nothing new. But you're watching it happen in your own time and not in a book.
This is a very relevant quote. I'm really happy with this. And why it has got its foundation in our Hindu stories also, our own Indian. If you look at the Panchatantra, that story is there, no? That Brahmin. If you
Which one?
remember, in Panchatantra, there is a story. If you give permit me, I will say a few words. What actually the Brahmin gets a goat as a gift. He comes carrying putting it on his shoulder. He passes through a forest. So there is a group of thieves. Actually, they plan to take it away, goat from him. So one approaches and said, being a Brahmin, you are carrying a dog on your shoulders. What is this? This man Brahmin says nothing doing. It is a dana I got actually from it is only a goat, not a dog. Go. After a few kilometers, miles he passes, another thief comes and says, you see, you are a Brahmin, how come you still continue to hold a dog on your shoulder and carrying it? Don't you think you are Brahminical, that is sacredness, other things will go away? This man gets into a doubt. Is it that actually I'm carrying a dog instead of a goat? And after some time, another thief comes and says, you see, you are shameless Brahmin, you are carrying a dog on your shoulders. What is this? Then the Brahmin gets into a real doubt and he begins to feel that the thing that he's carrying on his shoulder is a dog, not a goat. And he leaves it in the forest, it goes away, and these three thieves take away that goat. So a lie repeated often becomes the truth. This is also the principle as Goebbels, that if you remember that Nazis, that minister, public affairs minister, PR, he said the same thing. You repeat a lie often, it becomes truth. That is what is happening. And there is a lot of truth in this. Someone says is bad, he becomes bad, though is really virtually is good. These things, there is a lot of truth in this.
Correct.
This is an old idea. When he said this is an old idea, this Panchatantra story struck me. It really is nothing new. Fact is that.
This one also is so thing that if you change ownership of the institutions, you can change ownership of the facts.
So that is what is funny. If you put people whom you like there, actually they change the fact. They change the facts. Actually.
They are changing the textbooks, Shamal Raji.
Exactly. They are distorting history. They are recreating history. If you remember during the Trump's election, he said alternate facts. You see, you tell me a fact is a fact. How could there be an alternate fact? You see, the media, for that matter, is playing havoc. So, the fact.
Post-truth, sir. This is the era of post-truth.
This is post-truth.
Correct.
And they are bending words so much. Actually, we don't know where we stand, what we understand. What we understood is right or wrong. The correct or right is reflective of the actual fact, actual things. We don't know that. There is a fact or a non-fact. You tell me fact and non-fact. How there can be a non-fact?
Correct.
And so these are the things. These are the things media is playing havoc. Actually, you are not alert. Some people just believe any message that comes in their mobile early morning. Just believe. No verification, nothing. Because they can't verify it also. It is not possible. someone put in a neat quotation, things they attribute. Someone below says, no, it is not attributable to that particular person. What
Correct.
can we do? So things are really.
This is another quote. She looks at her infant son, this child who remains an innocent, and she sees how she has fallen a foal of herself and grows aghast. Seeing that out of terror comes pity, and out of pity comes love, and out of love the world can be redeemed again, and she can see that the world does not end. She can see
Dear
that the
mother,
world does not end, that it is
and
vanity to think the world will end during your lifetime in some sudden event, that what ends is your life and only your life. That what is sung by the prophets is but the same song sung across time. The
very
prophets,
correct. Please,
yeah,
please take me back to that other previous
correct.
quote.
The
Because
prophet
I was,
speaks
yes,
not of the
please go on.
end of the world, but of what has been done and what will be done and what is being done to some and not others. That the world is always ending over and over again in one place, but not another. And that the end of the world is always a local event. It comes to your country and visits your town and knocks on the door of your house and becomes to others but some distant warning, a brief report on the news, an echo of events that has passed into folklore. It's such a disturbing.
Sir, I was trying to
quote.
find out what is the justification for this title, Prophet Song.
Mm,
Previous quote, it made me clear. I was searching for it. You see, in which way the title justifies the book.
correct.
It's very important. Why actually? The Grapes of Wrath, as you referred to that
Mm,
Steinbeck's book, actually.
mm.
So a title. Here is the answer for that. In the previous quote, it makes it very clear. Thank
The window whispering the rain. She comes to be languid with the sense of being before memory. A hollow body filling with the sound of the rain until memory awakens, and she is at spill, moving across the landing to see into the boy's room and Mark's empty bed.
you. Poetry.
Yeah. It's actually poetry in many places when you read it.
There are,
Yeah.
I love, particularly when she touches nature, Dr. Sarathins.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somewhere she has used a phrase, he has used a phrase, a graveless yellow leaves.
The?
The graveless yellow leaves.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful,
Mm,
actually. Yellow leaf means in autumn it has fallen.
mm,
And it is not at gray, it is on the surface, top of the, that's actually water that is. So
mm,
graveless yellow leaves. No, there is a
mm,
lot of, there are words actually, I really like them.
mm.
Pure poetry.
These are some quotes by Paul Lynch. These are some things which he had mentioned in his interviews and stuff, which I thought was very nice. So I wanted to just share them. I
Please.
believe it is worth writing to remind ourselves of what we can't know, to remind ourselves that certainty is dangerous, that factual knowledge of the world casts only a small light. Fiction is necessary because it seems to me that only fiction can accommodate the total strangeness that is life, to remind us that truth is actually impossible. How do you write about what can't be written about? I try to bend language until it can suggest the ineffable, the great gap between what we think we know and what we don't know. The felt but not expressed, the intuited but not understood. I think he's done this very well in this bending language
Yes.
in Prophet Song.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He bends the language, he has said it.
correct. What I'm interested in discovering is human truth. What does it mean to be alive within the dream of life? It seems to me there are essential human truths that have never changed throughout the ages, and that what we think of as unique to our own time is in fact the general. I'm convinced as a writer that we must be able to witness ourselves as we have been moved and shaped by such universal forces. These were just some of the references.
The quotes which you have brought about him or of him, it is from paullynch.com, huh? From that site?
Some are from his website, paullynchwriter.com.
Okay.
Some of them were on Goodreads also.
Goodreads also. But he is
Goodreads,
a very Goodreads also. Okay.
Goodreads on his page, on his author page.
Author place. Okay.
Yeah. And also there were the bookerprizes.com, the website also has very, very good information about the book. And
On Goodreads,
no, the bookerprizes.com.
Booker Prize. I only read the interview of that.
The interview is also very good in that.
I hope actually Paul Lynch makes it to Booker Prize. I hope.
Yeah,
I have not read the other books. That is too what I call
correct.
far-fetched.
Yeah,
But on
but
its own, the books.
I heard that most of the books are quite disturbing reads, is what that person who read all the 16 books twice. So, so she had written about a little bit about the other stuff, and she's mentioned most of them are disturbing, and most of them, but have not done justice to the theme as much as what Paul Lynch has done, is what she says.
Yes. Why are all that disturbing? The times we are passing through are disturbing. Really, a writer who lives in his own times, he can't imagine other than what he's going through. Maybe painful. So he definitely puts it on paper. That could be a reason that we have selected so many books are now disturbing. That's possible.
We
This is
are
the times
living
we
in
are living in.
disturbing times, I guess.
Exactly. Very few are in comfortable position. We are living through
Yeah.
disturbed times. We don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Let me just I'll stop the recording and then maybe we can discuss about what we'll read for this time.
Just a second. That graveless on the grass, I will just read out. She looks for a moment behind to the trees and sees the grass full of fallen leaves, sees the leaves lying graveless on the grass, yellow, their faces among the dying brown. Don't you think there is poetry in this? Actually? This is graveless on the grass. And their faces among them dying brown. It's beautiful. And particularly that this is not my son, that para I was really disturbed reading that, as I said.
Correct. That one, there's no commas, nothing. It just literally rushes through.
It rushes through it.
Correct.
She kneels before the next
why
body.
did they do that, Shamal Raji? They are trying to find out information about his elder brother,
Exactly.
is it?
They want to, exactly. They not only elder brother, their father also. Anything. Because he was found
He's a
in an open
child.
space.
He's 13-year-old child. Why will they even want to do this to him? I don't understand.
Because for them, everyone is a suspect. Don't we think there are child suspects, what you call spies?
Oh,
Anything is possible. You read that.
such a small
you
child.
read that. How painful you see, and it is very difficult to read that paragraph.
Correct.
Very paragraph. I will only read that portion which actually disturbs us. She whispers, "My beautiful child, what have they done to you?" The skin before her clouded with bruising, the missing and broken teeth. She unzips the bag down, seeing the nails torn from his hands and feet, seeing the bore of a drill through the front of his knee. The cigarette burns along the torso, and she takes his hand and kisses it. The body washed down so that no blood remains, but for the blood clouding darkly under the skin that cannot be washed away. How painful, actually, for a mother to look at her own child. For me, it was very disturbing. It left me very exhausted, I must say.
Very thing.
We have to have some that lifts our mood next time.
Again, in this also, there's the darkness. He says, no, that here your son, it says here your son died of heart failure.
That is another issue.
And she turns from the man, seeing only darkness, stands lost in darkness, standing in a place where no place can be found.
But he uses this darkness to the maximum. He's an intelligent writer, and we have to accept actually. And the 3-4 quotations you brought from him, they make something else. It is not a simple He will have. He will be in the long run. Long innings he will play. That's what I feel. Young writer also. Some more exceptional books may come from his pen. That's what I hope. And I
Yeah.
wish he makes it to Booker. I don't know.
Yes, let's see. Let's hope for him. We're rooting
Yes,
for
ma'am.
him to get the Booker.
Okay, okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me stop the screen share and then
Please,
we can
please,
just decide the next book. I'll
please,
stop the
ma'am.
recording.